Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss Four Roses brand refresh, its first overhaul since 2006. My name is Miss Beka Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guest, Darren McRoy. Is it McRoy? McRoy?
Either way. It's McElhaney.
Katie Joyce and Joyce Friend.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey.
Oh, we always like to ask those questions.
In the middle. Why not in the middle?
Why not? Yeah,
I mean, it just makes sense, right? Why not ruin the introduction?
Sure. I mean, we have a long tradition of that, for sure.
It's literally my thing, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. Katie said there's something she wanted to talk about before we get on our topic of this brand refresh that's going on for Four Roses. What was that, Katie?
Yes, so we have a mix here of Missouri people and non-Missouri people. And so I want to get everyone's take on float trips. Do people outside Missouri know what they are? And is it truly a Missouri thing? And are you a true Missourian if you haven't been on a float trip?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the term float trip is a Missouri thing. I think a lot of people do what we call float trips. But they have different names for them, depending on where they're at. Some call everything a canoe trip, and I'm like, well, what if you're on a tube? Well, that's you're canoeing on.
Yeah, no, that's dumb.
You're canoeing on a tube. I'm like, that's dumb. I like float trip because anything works. You're on a tube. You know, you're on a floating cooler. Whatever it is, it works with float trip. Yeah,
like little lifesaver raft, which I used for part of the river yesterday.
That works.
Still floating.
I think float trip is a pretty universal term all across the nation.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people call it cabrewing, which I guess you'd think you'd be in a canoe, but you are in a kayak or a canoe or whatever, and you're drinking the river. I like float trip the best, but people do that up in North Dakota, and I know people do it in Ohio and Kentucky, and those are just the places I've lived, and I think that I've heard people talk about it in Oklahoma too.
Oklahoma float trip.
So,
yes.
Those places, yes, I can't talk about the rest of the country because I don't know. But
everybody I've said float trip to are like, they don't know what I'm talking about. And, yes, I'm done.
That's so weird.
So let's ask Tony. Tony, obviously, and he's a Kentucky resident now, but that's his whole life. He's been out in Washington. So what do they call floating down the river in Washington if you're going to go?
If they do it.
So I've never heard of the term float trip.
So there we go.
Wow.
Thank you.
We do whitewater rafting, inner tubing, canoeing, cabrewing I've heard of.
Okay. Yeah, the float trip is,
And are those activities where like you just get plastered drunk and float down the water?
You have to get picked up down on the other end of the river.
Yeah.
And you hope you get out because
hopefully you don't die.
When you start the day and they say, we'll pick you up past the bridge, you can't miss it. And you're like, challenge accepted.
That's always where you end it at too. It's always, I'll pick you up past the bridge.
Right. Yeah.
Tony, is that do they drink too much?
I mean, whitewater rafting certainly is.
I'm not drinking that during whitewater rafting.
That's a legitimate exercise / fun thing to do for sure. But float trip is really more about the drinking experience and fuckery, I would say, versus serious, any sort of physical activity. I mean, a float trip, you're stopping and you're drinking and maybe even, getting a fire going at some point. I mean, whitewater rafting, you're pretty much just going. So, yeah. So, Tony, do they do that out there? That sort of thing?
Yeah.
Where it's all
we do that all over
drinking?
in Washington.
Okay.
We got so many lakes and rivers and all that.
Okay.
Actually, when I was about 3 or 4 years old, my dad took me down the river.
Yes.
And we almost drowned. So
God.
he almost made a boo-boo. I don't know how drunk he was, but he lived.
So, is it universal that the bus ride is during these trips, because they take you to a spot and then they drop you off saying, "Hey, pass the bridge"? Is your life in danger on the bus ride? Because usually that is universal as well. If you're,
I don't remember many of the bus rides.
You should remember the first one at least. Or I guess that's
in
where
the
you start.
morning.
Yeah, that's where you're starting. So.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah. So, good times.
I think Missourians
Midwest-ish.
Yeah,
it's a Midwest thing. I was gonna say it's probably like a Missouri thing because we have so much little else to do that we start doing this, and so that would make sense for most of the Midwest.
Have you ever been to the state of North Dakota?
No.
We've got nothing to do in Missouri.
Yeah.
Well, at least it might be prettier in North Dakota. When you get to
Isn't
mid-Missouri.
that pretty anywhere in Missouri?
Yeah, it definitely is.
Of course, yes. Missouri's a beautiful state. Missouri's probably in the top.
I was saying 25%. North Dakota's prettier. I was saying
sky-wise. I mean, we have the best views of the sky that you can get.
Right.
Sure.
There's
basically
nothing.
Canada. Yeah.
I mean, you can see for miles. Sure. We are prettier than. Now, if anyone is listening in Wyoming, they'll be pissed off about this, depending on where they live in Wyoming. Wyoming is one of the ugliest states, except for probably 25% of Wyoming, beautiful, fantastic. That's like Jackson Hole, like all those parts, like the actual
Yellowstone,
that's most beautiful place that you'll ever see.
Sure.
But if you ever drive down from North Dakota down to Cheyenne, Wyoming,
it's nothing.
The worst fucking drive of your entire life. It is so horrible once you get to Wyoming because you're on these roads and it's just brown everywhere. Like North Dakota, it might be flat there, but we have a lot of there's a lot of crops growing all over the place, and so those are usually growing or it's snow. So it's either beautiful fields, beautiful amber waves of grain, or snow that you could die in. But Wyoming is just brown for miles, and it's just brown, desolate.
Katie,
like an atomic bomb went off.
We certainly have this country has financial issues always. Say we got in enough trouble, we had to sell off a state. North Dakota or Wyoming, what are you selling off? They come to you and they're like, "It's all tied right now. You're the tiebreaker. Who are we selling?"
I think, can we do half and half? Is that possible?
No. You got to sell one here. What are those?
My answer is California. Thank you for asking.
That was my
answer. I support this message.
Although wait till next month. So I'm going there next weekend for 4th of July. But after that, then we can sell it off.
Fair enough. All right. Well, on that note, it is time to drink. What is everyone drinking? We're going to start with Tony. It's been a while since he's been on. Just as a nice welcome, we're going to have Tony kick this thing off. What do you got there, buddy?
Yep. So I got a Four Roses single barrel store pick, back from Washington, actually.
Okay.
Pretty quiet.
Decent, not as bad as you think. I think it's okay. It's okay. We'll have Katie go next.
I have Four Roses Small Batch Select because it is the ugliest of the ugly in any bottle you could ever have, in my opinion. And so I'm hoping this is part of the brand refresh.
Okay. All right. I think we have a new leader. Again, just decent. I don't think it was great, but it's enough to take the lead. What do you have, Darren?
I have the first thing that was ever drinking on an ABV network show.
Drinking.
E.H. Taylor's
drinking.
First thing ever drinking was, yeah. Okay. Hey, we heard it at least. So you're making some progress there. Yeah.
Progress is progress.
All right. What do you got there, Miss Beka Sue?
I have got some John J. Bowman The Virginia Straight Bourbon Whiskey, the single barrel.
Okay. Nice.
From a while back.
John J. Bowman.
Set this down.
Swide on the set.
Swide on the set.
Okay. Not enough to take it over, I don't think. It was
they got those big old corks on that one that they just don't do much.
Well, not much. So Katie has the lead. I've got 3 chord. This is their cask finish. It's corn whiskey, bourbon and corn whiskey mixture here, a blend, finished in honey and toasted barrels. So a lot going on here. So slide on the set. Here we go.
Oh, that was cute.
Yeah, that wasn't much going on there either. Tony, who won that one? This is a bad one, I feel.
I'm gonna give it to Katie.
I think I in my gut I felt that was the right call. So there you go. Cheers.
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 Ding.
All right. We'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking about Four Roses and this update that they've got going on. Supposedly, I guess it's the first overhaul. They have done some changes since then. Obviously, when you think about the yellow label, that's been since 2006. That's certainly a brand refresh. But I guess overall, starting from the top to the bottom, this is the first one. We'll talk about that after the break. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We'll also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
Hello, this is Jeff from Iowa, and you're listening to the Bourbon Daily with Colonel Steve.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about the Four Roses brand refresh.
Yes, we are. What are some of the highlights here, Miss Beka Sue? What do they got going with this brand refresh?
So they are redoing the 3D rose emblem, offering a more refreshed and refined representation of the brand's founding story. I think that is a wild thing to just like that entire like.
That's definitely a PR group.
I know that when I look at that emblem, I'm like, wow, I feel
that represents
back
their
in
founding.
time.
Yes.
I go pretty flowers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
We've got a new engraved rose cluster.
I like this one.
I do like this
That's
one.
going to be good. That'll be cool. A good
Cluster
cork
on the
is good.
cork
Yeah,
of each bottle. I like that.
sounds cool.
I'm curious to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
Like,
They
is it
give us no
just-
pictures of that in the story, so it
Like,
looks
is
like
it going to be the cork is a rose? Is it just on top with it engraved in? Like, I don't know, but it sounds nice. I think that'll look. I like a nice cork. Also, when it says an engraved one, so it's going to be a wooden one, I would assume.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah.
They're brightening the labels with gilded borders
Okay.
on all the bottle labels to bring a more contemporary look to the design. Labels on each of the brand's 4 bourbon expressions show a varying color palette that corresponds with the richness of the product. That one's another really funny one. So this one is yellow because there's more corn in this. Like, okay. Yep.
Okay.
Let's see here. The Publico typeface of the new label.
They're just throwing shit against the wall now. Hey, we used the Publico typeface. Look at this. Hey.
Okay, yeah. This
Just
one,
go
I
with
guess
Comic Sans at this point. Like, just give it up.
this one, I guess I thought that maybe I just haven't been looking at a lot of Four Roses bottles, but I thought this was already on them, but maybe I'm just thinking of a different brand. The addition of the master distiller Brent Elliott's signature on the face of each bottle.
Yes.
Tasting notes have also been added to the back of each bottle label.
I
which
think
is good.
that's part of the why we think of that is I believe the signature's on yellow label now.
Yeah.
The old what is the refreshed
That must be
new
what it is.
yellow label? But yeah, I guess they're going to have it on all of them now.
I like
Makes
the
sense.
tasting notes.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic because
Yep.
I think that helps the general public because I think, we talk about this all the time. People are like, what am I tasting? Is it brown sugar? Is it this? Is it that? And this maybe helps people when it says you're tasting almonds and brown sugar and marzipan, whatever it is, the same thing as almonds. But like it maybe they'll go, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. So I'm like, whatever. That's kind of neither here nor there. And then they're updating the website.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
God.
Yes.
Still to include cocktails. And
Yes.
I know they made sure to
We'll have
point that out.
cocktails,
Like, okay,
yeah.
cool.
Purchase links. So yeah. It's very exciting. I'm most excited about the Publico typeface. I thought that's a really grand move.
Yeah, so bold. So really, really gonna.
I've
catch the
never
attention
heard
of
if anybody
themselves.
puts what font they're using. So
Could
don't
be
even know
a
what
trivia
Publico
question in
is.
10 years.
What does Publico even look like?
Yeah, we
it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it must be. So, someone got paid a lot of
It's
money to pick up
breathtaking.
Publico.
Yeah, it's breathtaking. So
let me go to images here.
Publico font?
Oh my God, it's so boring.
That's it.
Like,
oh,
are you
they're
serious?
they're polishing up that turd. Don't tell me how great it is.
Midas.
Oh,
There
boy,
it
the
is.
branding.
Oh, yeah.
It's, yeah.
I like that it just says
Publico.
branding.
Branding. Oh,
That's what someone looked up. Like, what type to use for a new branding?
yeah.
That came up with the word branding there, and they're like,
Right
"This is it,
there. Oh,
Publico."
Done.
It's gonna look so good. You know that like
Right.
to people who are design majors, like this just is like their wet dream of like doing something like this. So like,
Oh, yeah.
man, I gotta finally use that Publico, man, for the brand
Yeah.
refresh. I'm so excited.
Even just as an attorney, I can have a good debate on type. Like, I am very much my document shall be in Times New Roman and nothing else. Do not hand me a document in something else. It's like, I
boy.
appreciate that part of it, but I'm like, that's what you chose?
There is something to say about font.
Yeah.
It is a difficult thing. I can say that as someone who, I do a lot of this stuff at the distillery, and I'll just be sitting there and be like, that looks fucking weird. Okay, why don't they get rid of some of these fucking fonts?
I don't know. We can't let it be
What do
discontinued.
I need Comic Sans for?
Yeah.
I noticed it was court rules for submitting things electronically, and it specifically said to not use fonts that like can't be converted, such as wingdings. And I was like,
Wingdings,
this is the
yeah.
official court rules.
Yeah.
Got it.
This is why I'm not allowed to be a lawyer, because I would see that and be like, oh, wingdings, here we go.
Wingdings it is.
It's wingdingness. Yeah. Well,
Well, what's everybody think about
yeah. What do you guys think about this? What do you think?
I think it's not enough.
It's not
I
enough.
think they need a little more.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping that their adjectives and adverbs that they threw in are really going to wow me, because I think that Four Roses misses their opportunity on being absolutely beautiful on their bottles and everything else. And I think that what they put out is poop. quite literally. I mean,
Okay.
the label is poop brown. They were like, hey, what should we put with whiskey? Whiskey's brown. Barrels are brown. It's Four Roses. We don't want to be too pretty. Let's make our bottles look like poop. That's what they have. So they've got a long ways to go, in my opinion.
I think the one that needs the most change, I don't think they're actually doing anything with, because everything that was listed out there does not affect this bottle in my head. And that is the limited edition, the LEs. Like that everyone else's LEs bottle like stands out on a shelf. Four Roses, you think it's the same thing as the small batch select. It's got the same bottle shape and stuff going on. And I think that one just needs to be the one that they go, you're paying for the bottle along with some really good whiskey. Like, put some effort into it.
Okay. What do you think about all this, Tony? What do you think about Four Roses rebranding here?
I don't know. When I first saw it, I was like, "Is there anything different?"
Yeah, it's
and I had to come home, and now I see there's a difference. But in general, I do overall like their old designs and new designs. So I'm not on Katie's bus just yet. And I actually really like the small batch select bottle.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's one of my
I don't
favorite
mind that
bottles.
at all. I just think their LE should be in a different bottle. Taller, something.
Yeah, I think their LE is slightly different than the small batch select, but it's pretty similar.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If you look at a bottle of Four Roses from like 1967, what is now again the basic one, they just call it Four Roses now. Again, we used to call it the yellow label. That kind of has, to me, that has a vintage look about it now. So that's kind of cool. I like that for sure. So because I like vintage simplistic labels. Yeah.
That's a nice looking bottle shape right there.
Young
That's in
bottle.
Tony's hand. Yeah.
That's a cool one.
Yeah, for sure.
They really need to reconsider the bottle shape of the small batch and small batch select, in my opinion. I do not care for it at all. And I think their other problem is that the bottle shape as well in a bar is a shape that's likely to be turned sideways because it's wider. So, but it's not recognizable enough. Ocean Age is recognizable enough that if it gets turned sideways, I see it and I still recognize it. And there's a few other bottles that you, Whistle Pig, same thing. You see that, you still recognize it turned sideways. Four Roses, especially with the plain brown neck label around it, it's going to disappear. They need to reconsider.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Very cool.
I think I do like the increase in the etching of the roses, though. I think they need to continue with that thought and
just make the entire bottle a rose.
Yeah, and you have to drink out of the middle of the rose.
They should turn it into just a 4-rose bouquet.
Yeah, I like it.
They should take a page out of Blanton's and put roses on the top. Different roses. Got to collect them all.
Oh, that's a good idea. It's going to be funny when they do that and they don't pay Tony for that idea.
Oh, yeah. Just steal it.
One for each different mash bill, too. You can, you have to get each set of each different mash bill.
Yeah.
There you go. That is just printing money at that point.
Think that this is going to create a little bit of a mad grab for either the new ones or the old ones for collectible purposes.
Yeah, I do too. I think people grab that stuff and down the road they'll be like, "Oh, I got one back from the good old days. This is the good stuff." People just do that.
If they're making a bigger difference, yes, but I think the part of like, oh, this had the gilding around the edge of it or not, is not enough of a difference.
They're changing the font,
but we haven't actually seen the bottle yet, right?
This wasn't
we haven't actually seen the new bottle yet, right? Like we haven't actually seen any real. Is that the new pictures?
The new pictures are the new ones. Yeah,
that's them.
Yeah,
they look. Exactly
I thought it was the old pictures. Same. I thought it was the old pictures until we started talking about it on here, and I was like, "Oh, that's the new pictures."
Yeah,
this is the single barrel.
Right,
it's gold instead of brown.
Yeah, see,
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty subtle.
Instead of brown. Yeah. So, like, what they could go with this, they could do a whole series of like rose tattoos. They could have beautiful tattoo artists making rose designs to put on the labeling of these bottles and make a series of those.
That would be cool.
Gorgeous artwork on their bottles.
It's almost, Katie, you bring up a good point. Four Roses, we've talked about this. They do need to do something in terms of special release. They have their limited edition release that they do. But that's really about it. And you think about them, they're not coming out with new products all the time. There's no line extension. They have 4 items and that's it. Even Maker's Mark, who really only has one product, if you think about it, they have one mash bill. That's all that they do. But think about how creative they've gotten with that single mash bill. Well, Four Roses doesn't, they've got also a single mash
colored wax on the top of it. We all go crazy.
Yeah, they have their 10 recipes, but again, it's not reflective of, I can get 10 different bottles of anything other than cast strength single barrels. I mean, those are certainly collectible, but for the most part, there's not a big chase. Yeah, there's not a big chase with Four Roses stuff. So,
well, I think they got a new gift shop release of all 10 recipes. 50 ml.
I'm into that. I think that's a good idea.
Cool.
I think that's a very cool thing. And yeah. So I'm definitely into that. I want to get one of those. So I'm on the hunt for that when those come out. So yeah, we'll see.
I think it does fit in the bottles almost match my recollection of visiting their distillery as well, though. Everything was so tan. I'm like, you could just. Yeah, it didn't help. I had a migraine when I went there, so all of it, I'm like, their bottles remind me of a migraine.
That's what it brings back to you. Yeah. So there you go, Four Roses with a brand, update, and I don't know that we were very impressed, but they make great whiskey. To their credit, their stuff's good. I mean, I'm a fan, and I just don't know that. I don't know that if you just said, hey. Check out these pictures. Like we all looked at it, we thought that was okay. They pictured the old ones in there. No, you really have to kind of look at it and be like, oh, these are different. And Tony just flashed up some of the bottles. Yeah, then you see, oh, absolutely, there's a difference there. But they're not big enough, bold enough, different enough to be like instantly recognize there's been a change made. So yeah, interesting stuff. So all right, on that note, we're going to wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Darren, we're going to start with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at The Bourbon Adventures. Also, Friday through Tuesday at the ABV Barrel Shop.
All right, Katie.
You can find me always complaining about font choices and also over on Instagram at Katie Proof.
All right, Tony.
You can find me on Instagram, drinking all my Four Roses at Glass of Whiskey 86.
Miss Beka Sue.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
For me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. The important website, though, is abvnetwork.com. Check it out. Everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more. abvnetwork.com. Come by and see us. As Darren mentioned, the ABV Barrel Shop. You can try before you buy. Online, abvbarrelshop.com. Miss Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. For our audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the Hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with the national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, But if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.